Welcome to today's video, where we'll be delving into one of the trickiest traps in chess, scholar's mate. If you're tired of falling victim to this quick checkmate, you're at the right place. We'll be sharing valuable tips and strategies on how to counter this aggressive opening and gain the upper hand from the very start. So grab your chessboard and let's dive in. As you know that the scholar's mate typically starts with e4, e5, and then white plays the aggressive move q to h5. This move threatens to capture the pawn on e5, delivering a check, setting up a 4-move checkmate with q f7, playing bishop c4, and on the next move, something like this. Let's examine some common mistakes that the black players can make and how to avoid them. Many beginners unsure how to defend against this line might play pawn to g6, threatening the queen, overlooking the attack and falling into queen capture, e5 with a check, and you may defend with maybe the bishop to e7 and the white capture your rook for nothing and eventually winning the game. Some beginners also play knight to f6. You're attacking the queen, but you miss that the pawn is unprotected at e5 and the queen captures the e5 pawn and you're just losing one pawn for nothing. The recommended move to defend against this threat is knight to c6. Protect the pawn at e5. White usually plays bishop to c4 and attack the f7 pawn twice with the queen and the bishop, threatening for a checkmate. Instead of playing queen to f6 or playing queen to e7, defending the pawn, which might hinder the development of pieces, the best move in the position is pawn to g6. You're attacking the queen and blocks the threat of queen to f7. Even if white tries to retreat the queen to f3, the idea is to stay focused on defending against the threat. You play knight to f6, shielding the f7, and in this position, if white grows greedy and play the move g4, trying to attack your knight by pushing it to g5, attempting to continue the attack, we need to counter it, playing knight to d4. Here also the beginners go wrong by playing bishop to g7, sometimes overlooking the pawn push which attacks the knight, and if moved, checkmate by capturing the f7 pawn by the queen. And the recommended move here is knight to d4. You're attacking the queen and attacking the c2 pawn, threatening a fork of king and rook, and if the king retreats to d1 is original square and protecting the pawn at g4 and as well as protecting the c2 pawn, you'll play d5, attacking the bishop, launching a discovered attack. Also this opens up the lines for the bishop, which in fact is a discovered attack on the pawn on g4, and if the pawn captures d5, you'll capture the g4 pawn with your bishop. White here has 3 options. All the 3 options are not sound and may fall quickly. For example, if knight to e2 loses to the following combo, knight f3 check and the king moves to f1 and bishop h3 is a beautiful checkmate. And again this position, if white play bishop to e2, you'll capture it with your bishop, the knight capture bishop, and you will capture the d5 pawn with your queen, threatening an attack on the rook. And in this position, if white make the most logical move f3, you'll play the stunning move with knight e4. Looks like a mistake at the first glance, but a very decisive one if you look again. The pawn cannot capture the knight as it is pinned against a queen, and if white capture the bishop, the game ends with queen to h4 followed by king to h1 and is mate in one move. Coming back to the position where black just played the move knight to f6, and here if white plays the move knight to e2, stopping your knight on going to the d4 square. So what you'll do, you'll continue with the move bishop g7, fianchetting your bishop and preparing for the castle, and white plays the move d3, opening the lines for bishop. You'll castle. The white pins the knight by playing bishop to g5, and you will attack the bishop by h6, and the bishop will move to h4, and you will continue attack it with the pawn move g5, and bishop goes to g3. And like the previous line, you play d5, attacking the bishop, gaining a tempo and also opening the lines for your bishop. If pawn capture d5, you have mainly 2 lines here. One is you play your knight to b4, threatening for a fork by capturing the pawn at c2. Normally the whites will drop back his bishop to b3 to protect the pawn, and in this move he'll capture back the pawn at d5, and your aim is to move your bishop to g4, trapping the queen. And here if white plays the move h3 to stop your bishop coming there, we'll play the other stunning move g4, and again you see that the queen is trapped. And if h captures the pawn, and the bishop will capture g4 and the queen is trapped almost in the middle of the board. You may ask that what if bishop capture knight in this position? We will capture back the bishop with our knight, and this position is in fact very good for black. Let's come back to the move where we played d5 and the pawn captures g5, and in this position we are directly attacking the queen with your bishop by playing it to g4. The queen will move to the only safe square e3. The queen is not trapped yet because you can play the queen to e3, and now the key move to remember is to play knight to d4. Threat for a fork and also attacking e2 knight, and if knight capture our knight, you will capture the knight back with our d pawn. It might seem that we have just give away 2 pawns for nothing, but in this position, if you guys can see from the evaluation bar, black is clearly winning, because now we have the move rook to e8. If he plays a move like king to d2, he has only 2 options, either king to d2 or king to f1, because our bishop is covering these 2 squares as well. If he plays king to d2, we just play knight to e4. Is also a discovered attack on the queen with our bishop at f7, and this position is easily winning for black. Let's come back to the position where we just delivered a check with our rook. So what if king moved to the other option, f1? If white tries to hide the king in the corner, we play bishop to e2, check. He has to play king to g1, otherwise if his king goes back, our bishop can have more discovered checks. So if king moves to g1, we have a very nice move, knight dropping to d7, setting another trap and discovered attack on the queen. Now you can see that the beautiful queen is trapped in the middle of the board. Of course, you may say that you can block this with the bishop, but the bishop will capture is attacking the queen. The white queen does not have any safe squares. Any move result in losing the queen. Let's come back to our original position where we just played our knight to f6, and if white tries to keep the attack going by playing the queen to b3. Notice that this time the queen is behind the bishop, and there is no checkmate threat. We'll move our knight to d4 attacking the queen, and if bishop captures f7 giving a check, and we will move our king to e7, and surprisingly the white cannot keep the bishop alive. As the queen is under attack, queen does not have any safer square from where he can support the bishop. He may try playing queen to b4 check, and you can capture the bishop again, and of course you're up in material. Or else you can play queen to c4. It keeps the support on the bishop, but you can play the move b5. He may give a check with this queen, and you'll capture the bishop, and if you capture the pawn at e5, it's a blunder. The knight will capture the c2 pawn, it's a fork, and he will lose more material. So let's come back to the position where we just played the move knight to f6. If white plays the move c3 to stop your knight move, again you'll play the move bishop b7, fianchetting it, preparing for the castle. White plays d3 and opening the lines for bishop, and you'll castle. Again bishop coming to g5 and pinning the knight. And here also we'll play aggressively. We will attack the bishop with h6, and the bishop will move to h4, followed by g5 attacking again, and bishop drops to g3. Here again we'll play the move d5, attack the center and the bishop, and if e take d5, we will attack the queen with our bishop by playing it to g4. Queen move to the only square e3. Now we'll capture the pawn d5 with our knight and attack the queen. And here white have 2 options, either you can capture the knight with the bishop. In that case, we will capture it back with our queen, threatening to capture the pawn at g2. He may move his knight to f3, stopping the attack. Here we have another beautiful move, f4, with a threat to fork queen and bishop. And if white play h3, attacking the bishop, you will push your pawn to f4 and attack the queen and bishop simultaneously. And if queen moves to e2, capture the knight with the bishop, again attacking queen And if queen captures bishop, you will exchange your queen and later capture the bishop with a very good attack. Coming back to the position where we just capture the d5 pawn with our knight, and in this position if queen drop to d2, we have another beautiful move, knight to f4 with a very good attack. And if bishop capture the knight, we will take back it with our e pawn, and you see the position is just horrible for white. Defending against scholar's mate involves staying calm, protecting crucial squares, and countering with well-timed moves by understanding the threats and having a solid defense. So you can turn the table and punish the opponent's aggressive opening. Thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned, and we'll be coming with more instructional videos. Till then, bye bye and take care.